Hi, Chuck. Um, I'm glad that you felt like you want to come in today. I know that we have had some hits and misses lately about availability and things like that. So, how are you doing today?
Uh, well, honestly, not great. Um,
Okay, when you say what not great, what does that mean for you?
that means that I have not been successful at getting this whole binge eating thing under control at all. Um, yeah, it's just
So we're just coming off of Thanksgiving holiday. How did that go?
well, well awful. I didn't. I had told myself that I was going to be all about portion control and let myself have a little bit of everything, but just a little bit of everything, not go overboard. And I didn't control a single portion at any of the not one, not two, but three
Yeah.
Thanksgiving meals that I went to.
Yeah, I remember you said that you were kind of concerned about that back in October. So, if I asked you to tell me about some of the things that you've been eating, I mean, like for Thanksgiving, um, what were the things that you felt like you had the most problem with?
Turkey, which is that's probably the healthiest thing I ate. Was turkey.
Yeah.
Um, but I had like humongous mounds of carb laden stuffing,
Okay.
um, desserts. Um, it was almost all of it was all like sugary or starchy stuff that
Mm-hmm.
I know isn't good for me.
So, how do you, I mean, like, have you been able to try to think about what happened right before um, you've been through a situation where you've binged, or if there was if there was something that just something specific that happened, or
Well, it seems like I'll get myself after the fact. I'll get myself set in a frame of mind where it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to stick to this. Um, but just as soon as there's any little excuse to to deviate from that, I take it.
what do you when you say excuse to deviate? What do you like? What do you mean? Like what goes through your mind, or what are you thinking?
Well, the at every one of the dinners, and maybe this is just like a family cultural thing. Um, but I would have a plate, and I already had filled it fuller than I would have. But I finished it, and then I would try telling myself like, okay, you ate more than you planned on, but you can stop here.
Okay.
And then I would just there would be just this like little bit of pressure from somebody to like, oh, go get some more of this, or oh, there's plenty of that left, and that was all it took for me to be back at it. And
Right.
like Sunday, yesterday, I planned on either just not eating anything or maybe having like a fruit and vegetable smoothie or something like that
Mm-hmm.
to rein things in. Um, but around I had my son for the holiday, and around 10 o'clock we both woke up, and he wanted to make some brownies, and just him asking for brownies was all it took.
That's one of your okay. So that's one of the any reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
He probably could have just asked for cereal, and we would have. I'd have ate 4 boxes of cereal. Like it.
Okay. Well, um, I mean, I think it's important, to realize. I mean, that, um, have you looked into binge eating and the fact that it's more common than most people consider it to be, and what do you feel like would be a good next move for you as far as the binge eating?
Honestly, I'm not sure there is a good next move. I don't know if, because whether I just try to repress it and end up not making progress with it, or whether I talk about it and then don't make progress with it. I don't feel like there's any difference. I mean,
Okay, so what is it during times when it's not a holiday that you like feel like you have issues with?
times when I'm bored, definitely one. And I find myself, I'll start thinking about stuff that I regret, stuff that I wish I could do, but can't because of my weight. And
Like what kind of things?
well, I'd like to be able to go do stuff outside. I'd like to go hiking. Um, I'd like to. I mean, for years I've wanted to go like kayaking, and it's hard to kayak if you can't fit in the boat.
Yeah.
And if you do get in the boat, if you sink the boat, it still doesn't work very well.
Yeah, that could be.
So,
So when you talk about this stuff, do you feel like, I mean, clearly you have some desire to change things, or you wouldn't be here. So, if you were looking at a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not too important and 10 being very important, how important is the change for you as far as getting the eating under control, or figuring out why there's a reaction to stress or other things that happen for you? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel?
scale of 1 to 10, the importance of it is a 10.
Okay.
Because this isn't, I mean, it's more than about just being able to, and enjoy some new hobbies. It's about my life. I mean, I mentioned having my son over the weekend. I don't want him to grow up without his dad.
Yeah. So, what if I ask you the same question, except this time you're confident? So 1 is you're not confident, all you can change, but 10 you're very confident, you could change. I don't know what the hell that just meant.
Probably a 2.
Okay. Why 2 and not a 1 or a 0?
Well, because not a 1, because, or 1 or a 0, because I am still alive. And as long as a person is alive, I like to believe that there's some chance of change happening.
Right.
But that's part of the reason why whenever I think about the things that I would like to be able to do but can't,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I think about them, I get excited, and I think about how awesome it would be to be able to do them, and then, but then I have the thought of like, well, but that's never going to happen, so I might as well have what I can have, which might be 2 trays of brownies or the 2 double whoppers that I ate in the parking lot before I came in here.
Were you nervous
Yes.
before you came in? Okay. So you've had periods of success that you had told me about earlier. What things are successful to you? I mean, what things do you feel that you've done that helped you along the way?
When I was able to get up early in the morning and start my day well, like get up and like be at the gym first thing in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
when it wasn't crowded, when I didn't feel like everybody was looking at the fat guy, which even though I know they're probably not, it's all me being stuck in my own head about it. So I could get up and go before there was more than 1 or 2 people there, and exercise, do something positive, and go home, and have a kind of a healthy start to the day. And then it seemed like starting that way helped me to keep it going.
Okay.
because I could look back when I was tempted and I could say, well, you've already done all this, don't undo it.
So, what has changed? You said you used to be able to get up and go early to the gym and have a healthy start to the day. So things have changed in that area since then.
Yeah, I got laid off from my old job,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got a new job, but it starts so early. Like I have to be there at 5 a.m. and that means waking up no later already than like 3:30 a.m.
Right.
And so for me to start my day that way, I would have to get up at
Two.
like 1:45. So I would have to go to sleep at 5 p.m. And I don't. It's difficult for me to foresee that being feasible.
Okay. So, I mean, if you feel, that your health is really important, what things would you have to give up to, go to bed really super early, get up and do the exercise, go through your day? I mean, what would your losses be in your mind if you did those things?
Well, I guess is I get off work early. I get off like between 1:30, maybe 2:30, just depending on the day. I could run an errand or two, and get home and get in bed,
Mm-hmm.
by that time. I guess the difficult part would just be going to bed that early, because especially during the summer, because the sun's
Right.
out till like 9 o'clock.
So on one hand, I mean, you'd like to stop the binge eating, but on the other hand, you don't believe that you can do it. Is that
Yeah.
is that right? Okay. Um. So have there been other changes that you have been able to accomplish in, say, the last year?
Well, other than getting a new job, I can't really think of anything else.
Okay. Um. So I mean, so what do you think that your point of view would be, or just how would you feel right now if you had the binging and you weren't employed, you hadn't found another position?
I'd probably not even be functional. I probably would have ended up being evicted from my apartment. Because I just was, I wasn't making it. I started to say I was barely making it on unemployment. But the fact was I was letting my student loans go and I wasn't paying them and was racking up even more debt and late payments. So I probably would be evicted and who knows where at this
Okay.
point.
So it's a positive thing that, that if it's okay for me to ask you, I mean, do you feel like it's positive that you're working and, I know you have these other things that you feel like you need to deal with, but that's one, does that feel like that's one area that you don't have to, like, worry about?
Not working's better than not working,
Okay.
for sure.
Is that your logical way of like sometimes I'll have the I call it my smart brain, and my smart brain goes, you have a job. And then and it's not that I'm really maybe looking at it on the bright side, but but the part of my brain that knows how to look at what my positives are will bring that in. Do you experience that, or do you kind of shut that part off?
I think a lot of times I shut that part off, and I just look at the stuff I don't like, and am not happy with, and
Okay.
um,
So, success comes in small steps. There could be things that, um, I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult. I absolutely can identify with you when you talk about struggling with food, and that you have issues with. What is the thing you have the most issue with? What food?
what food? Probably like just stuff that you can order in
Okay.
and not even have to leave, not even have to put on shoes.
Okay. Yeah. Convenient
Just
things.
toss a pity party and have it catered.
Yeah. Um, so how about other foods that could be consumed when you're feeling stressed? Are there other things that you could maybe substitute for the things that you order, or have you thought about trying to do that replacement, kind of thing where your go-to is, I mean, I know that yay Chinese is not the same as yay carrots and Hidden Valley Ranch.
Carrots and a nice bowl of air.
But have you thought about possibly doing that, or have you tried that and it didn't work for you, or?
I haven't. It's interesting you bring that up because I haven't tried it, but I was watching a video on YouTube, and there was a guy who was saying that whenever he worked with people, excuse me, when he worked with people one on one, like doing health and like nutrition coaching,
Mm-hmm.
that early on, whenever he has people who are struggling to break that cycle and build momentum and stuff like that, that he told them to do that. He said, if you're craving 2 double whoppers on the way to your therapy appointment, eat 4 apples.
Okay.
And after you eat 4 apples, if you really still feel like you've got to have at least 1 double whopper, then you eat the double whopper. But at least you have made a conscious effort to change that pattern, is the way he put it.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe that by it even said too, like by the time you get done eating 4 apples, the craving may have passed. Like whatever emotional stuff may be there.
Have you ever been in therapy before for this specific area?
No.
Okay. So out of the things that you have difficulty eating or staying away from, what's one thing that you can think of that that you might be able to say, okay, I'm going to stop eating this, and because it doesn't sound like.
Well, so just one thing, picking one thing that I know is not healthy for me, that I can say I can give up that,
Mm-hmm.
and like still keep the rest.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can give up sugar,
Okay. Well,
like,
do you?
like donuts and like the pastry type stuff, like the desserts, the cake, donuts.
So
like that.
pastries.
Yeah.
Okay. I would want you to just sort of maybe be careful about, how do you feel about just going, okay, I'm going to still be able to eat one, I don't know, I keep thinking of pastries now that you said the word pastries. That I can eat one serving of a packet of M&Ms. a week, or you don't like M&Ms.
No, I do like M&Ms. I just the thought
Okay,
of
but you
having,
can't do one.
the thought of just controlling that
Yeah.
would be like an alcoholic going to the bar and
I
saying that
got
they're
you.
only going to have one drink.
So you
Like,
think that you feel right now that the best thing for you would be to do the all or nothing with sugar?
yeah, just with sugar,
Okay.
I could do that.
So how are you going to start? How are you going to start with abstinence from sugar? And do you have sort of a start time? Have you thought about that?
Well, I guess pick a weekend when I'm not going to have my son, and get my neighbor to chain me to something and not let me out until the shaking has stopped.
Well,
Like
but you know, you're going to have your son
other weekends.
other weekends.
Yeah.
So how old is he?
He's 11.
Does he binge at all, or does he seem to have normal eating patterns, or what have you observed?
No, I don't know. He doesn't seem to, because like when we did the brownies, he had more than he should have.
Mm-hmm.
But he, like after he had, you know, I don't know, like 3-4 brownies, he was just like, oh, that's too much brownies. And I was like, what's that? Another pan of brownies coming up.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it seems like that you are. So I wasn't expecting that. It seems like you're able to look at it and think about it, and you know, one thing that I've had some people tell me is, you know, if something doesn't work, try the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so, you know, and I understand why you might feel it's difficult to feel motivated. It's, you know, but there are other avenues, you know, that we can talk about. So
And I was just thinking too, like, so I don't have him this coming weekend because I had him for the whole holiday weekend.
mm-hmm.
If I can start, I started to say if I start tomorrow, but anytime I do that, it's always the next tomorrow and the next tomorrow. So if I start now
Mm-hmm.
and can make it through this weekend that I won't have him, and then next week, and then when I get him, like I don't know, maybe make like with that amount of time to my credit, then maybe if I just make a rule that, because I don't want to tell him he can't have stuff
Yeah.
just because I can't.
Yeah.
But we could make a rule that we don't make it at home. That it's like if he wants ice cream, okay, you can have ice cream, and I'll take him to get ice cream, but it's like a serving of ice cream for him,
Okay.
and that once he's done with it, it's gone. It's out
That
of sight,
sounds-
out of mind.
Okay. Well, I mean, that sounds like a pretty good plan. Do you have anybody that you can call or that you can talk to if you start getting that feeling like you're going to maybe do something that you don't want to do that involves sugar or adding more of it to your weekend, or
Yeah, I could call. I mean, when made the joke about having my neighbor chain me up.
yeah,
I do have a neighbor who is supportive.
supportive. That's
So-
good. Good. So we can next time I see you, we can talk about maybe there are some outside supports that you could consider. If it's okay for me to sort of give you a list of those,
Okay.
and we can just talk about your concerns and those kind of things. And I mean, I want to be completely honest with you, right? And I'm here to help you. So you know, I don't think it's going to work if I just tell you what you think, what I think you want to hear, you know. So I want you to feel, comfortable to, it's not easy. If it was easy, you could have done it, by now. And so, but I just, I think the fact that you're looking at sugar, it's not going to solve every problem, but it's going to be able to help you sort of maybe get that into focus. And so you're going to have a week and a weekend to sort of get started. Have you talked to your son about wanting to be, to make different choices about what you eat, or?
I haven't yet, just because I don't want to make my problem his problem. But if he comes over and he asks if we can have ice cream and I don't have any in the fridge, and I say, okay, we have to go get it, and we don't go to the store and get a tub of it, then he's probably going to have a question. and that would probably be a good way for the subject to come up naturally.
Okay.
Whenever he asks, why are we doing this different? And I can explain.
Okay. So let's go after the change that that we can achieve. And sometimes it's just minute by minute, day by day. It's but the best thing to do is just start looking at what is out there for you. Start looking at different things that work. Sometimes you can go back to things that did work and implement parts of that. And so if you have the overwhelming urge to, go get a whole tub of ice cream, you've got your neighbor that you can talk to. And so that's what we're going to start with.
Okay.
So does that feel okay to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So
like you said, the worst that can happen is that it doesn't work, and we got to try to figure something else out.
Do the next thing. Okay. So I will see you in 1 week at the same time, and at that time we'll go over some possibly other outside support that you can come up with, or that you can go to.
Would I don't know if you can do this scheduling wise, but like today's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an opening Friday?
Sure.
Where I could come in again, like before the weekend.
Sure,
and I'll
absolutely.
Have, like, more, because on the weekend I'm going to have more time, and I just think it might be beneficial to.
Good. Yes.
To come
that's
in.
That's excellent. That's exactly, what you do is you advocate, for yourself, and just go easy on yourself. We all have things that we have to deal with, and this is yours, but I'm here to help you, and there are a lot of other people that can help you too.
Okay.
So, all right, I'll see you on Friday.
All right.